Okay, now boys and girls, what we're gonna do is we're gonna study the strikes. The strikes are punches. Okay, so when you hear me strikes, it's the same thing as punches, but it's how we do how we move our hands, whether we make a fist or we have your hands, your fingers tight like this, in this form, that makes up that specific strike. But first, before we go over the strikes, there's two things that you need to know. One, every time we throw a strike, the one hand that is not striking has to be your hand in chamber. Now, what's chamber? Chamber is when you have your hand right next to your body, just like this. It takes a lot of effort, well, not a lot, but it takes effort to put your hand on the side of the body. If you relax your arm, it's gonna be out here like this, and this is not good technique. You wanna look sharp. So in order for it to look sharp, you gotta stick it to the back, to the side of the body like this, and the only way to do that is to pull your elbow back, just like this. That's called hands in chamber. Right here, I have both hands in chamber like this. Okay, so you're gonna hear me say, make sure you have your hands in chamber. The next movement that you're gonna learn is called the box. A box is when you put your arms over like this. This is the movement that we use before we throw what we call an open hand strike. When we do an open hand strike like this, your fingers are tight, the thumb is curled in just like this, and I'm tight right here. Before I do that, I'm gonna get into a box. Okay, so I'm gonna practice a few times, and then what you're gonna do, whatever arm that I'm gonna use to throw the strike, that hand is on top. What we're gonna do first, I'm gonna use my left hand, so I'm gonna put my left hand on top. So what I'm gonna do to make it a little bit more strenuous, that means a little bit more work, what you're gonna do is I'm gonna get into the horse stance. That way I work my legs at the same time I'm working my upper body. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to begin doing what we call the chops, the open hand strikes, okay? So it's just easier to say chop instead of open hand strike, but they're the same thing, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my hand in a box, I'm gonna use my left hand first, so I'm gonna have it on top. And when I practice, I'm gonna shoot my arm out and I'm striking with the side of my hand like this, while my other hand goes to chamber. So that's how I'm gonna practice. So I'm gonna do 10. If you wanna challenge yourself, pick up that number, okay? So I'm gonna come here, my horse stance box, and I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice the use of my box. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, those are your chops right there. What you're gonna practice now is the punches. You're gonna use the same stance, and now you're gonna use this punches, but just keep in mind that just because we're doing this stance, it doesn't mean that you can practice only with the horse stance. You can do the power stance too, and do the chop punches. The chops, and whatever punches you're gonna do. So right now we're gonna do what we call a normal punch. I'm gonna use it from my horse stance. I'm gonna put my hands in chamber, one arm out, and I'm gonna do 10. Remember, if you want to make it a little bit more tough for you, make sure you up that number, okay? So right here, we punch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice my hands in chamber all the time. They're tight, and when I'm punching right in the center of my body. I'm not punching over here, I'm not punching here, or here, anywhere else, it's right in the center. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, good job. Those are your punches, okay? Now, the last one is gonna be a low block, okay? So we have 2 strikes and 1 block, okay? When I do the low block, I can do it in any stance I want. But what I'm gonna do is, because we use the horse stance in the form, I'm gonna use the horse stance. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna step forward I'm gonna stay standing regular just like this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a step forward. Now my horse stance is facing to the side. I'm going to box. I'm gonna use my right arm. So I'm gonna use right arm on top, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly come down, do a block, while the other hand comes in chamber. So I'm gonna practice like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna switch my stances like this. I'm gonna do my left side. So does my left hand go on top, or does it go on the bottom? Correct, it goes on top. So I'm here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, relax. So it's chops, punches, and low blocks. You practice this, and these are the techniques that we're gonna be using when we work on the upper body.